Are you trying to plan a Disney trip, or you really want to go to Disney, but you can't find anybody else to go with you? Can you go to Disney and have a good time on a solo trip? Have you ever thought about it and then talked yourself out of it because you thought you'd feel awkward or you just didn't know if you'd have a good time? Today we're going to talk about how to go to Disney as a solo traveler. And can you have a good time, and is it awkward? Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the greatest show on earth.
Let me give you a little bit of context. Before Jen and I moved here to Orlando, I traveled to Disney multiple times by myself. Usually it was because the very reasons that we just talked about. I couldn't find anybody to go with me, or it just timing didn't work out. And I thought in the very beginning it would be awkward to go on a trip by yourself, especially like a week-long trip, which is what I did. So I wanted to give you a little bit of my experience and maybe edge you in one way or the other if you're on the fence about coming solo, and talk about some of the pros and some of the cons. So I'm trying to remember back to how many solo trips I actually took. I think I probably took at least 4. Usually they were week-long trips because I usually didn't come for less. For the most part, those were trips that I planned just like you would normally plan a Disney trip. I planned the resort, bought my tickets, and knowing me, I planned every moment from waking up to going to bed. The one thing that we'll talk about later is dining. That's the one thing that's going to change based on coming by yourself. Price-wise, you're not going to be punished like being on a cruise. You're not going to pay a single supplement for taking up a hotel room with only one person. So the only thing that's going to cost you extra is, well, it's not going to cost you anything extra. So along with talking about our topic of the day, I also just kind of wanted to walk around the parks today and just enjoy my day. But I do want to talk a little bit about some of the things that are new or newish that I haven't really talked about. One of the things that I hadn't done since soft opening was Moana Journey on Water. So I went back through that. I wanted to see if I felt any differently about it. It's okay. It's a very pretty area. It wasn't made for me. It was for kids to cool down. And I think watching their reactions, it accomplishes what they set out to do. For me, not excited. Now, but the other thing that I am really not excited about is right behind me, Communicore Hall. This to me epitomizes what the budget cuts cost us as Disney fans here at Epcot. Now, I try to stay pretty positive on this channel, but this whole area, this whole section of Epcot that was redone and reopened and reimagined was all the product of budget cuts after 2020 and COVID. Now, I don't blame anybody for that. It just is what it is. But I think that this is a shell of what it could have been. Okay, so we got a meet and greet. That's okay, right? I'm with you. That one's okay. The other thing that we have here is the Festival Favorites permanent food booth. Okay, I'm okay with that. We also have tons of seating for, I guess, for people who get food at the Festival Favorites. But this is a lot of seating. Also a stage where they're doing little performances of an Encanto show, and a giant courtyard full of nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, 5 years in the making, I bring you Communicore Hall. So you might say to yourself, well, it's a seating area indoors. I mean, that's not a bad thing, right? Well, no, but we also have the Odyssey building for this. We also have the restaurant across the way and the other identical looking building, the exact same thing. It's just a terrible, terrible, terrible waste of space. So my favorite part of coming by myself is that I don't have to ask anybody's permission for the rides that I want to ride. And if I want to ride something multiple times in a row, then I'll just ride it multiple times in a row. Or if I don't feel like standing in line for a ride, I won't stand in line. The other great thing is when you get ready to do something different, or you just on a whim, you decide, I'm going to go to a different park. There's nobody to ask. There's no polls to take. There's no plans that you have to discuss. You just go. You might notice I got some ear pods in. This is something that I learned from a local when I moved here. That as many times as you've been to the park, there's nothing like seeing the theme parks with your own personal soundtrack. It does a couple of things for me. One, I am able to tune out some of the just noise and other people's conversations. And then for me, I do like changing my mood depending on what type of music I would listen to. I just walked into the park listening to AC/DC. And let me tell you what, that's a different experience than coming into the park listening to like Disney music. So you can play around with that. But also, you know, if you have earbuds like these are just the Apple AirPods, you do have noise cancellation mode. So I like to just sometimes just turn the world off and just enjoy my my park experience in silence. But this does allow you to sort of have something going on so that you're not feeling like you're being left out because you don't have a group to talk to. So I think the inevitable question for most people is going to be, am I going to feel awkward and am I going to be lonely? I guess maybe only you can answer those questions. I am the type of person who I can sort of blaze my own path and I'll be just as happy, because sometimes I don't really want to have a committee. I want to be able to decide what I want to do, especially when it comes to the theme parks, because I kind of chart my own course. So to answer the question, are you going to feel awkward? No, I don't think you are. Because again, if you're here to enjoy the attractions, then enjoy the attractions and don't worry. Let me tell you something. If I can stand in the middle of a park and film myself talking to a camera and get used to that, you can get used to walking around the park by yourself and enjoying yourself without the accompaniment of anyone else. If you are the kind of person who's extremely social and you make friends easily, then let me tell you, you will also make friends in line as you're waiting for attractions. If you just start conversations with people, most of the time people are really, really friendly, and you can make some line friends. So the other thing that's nice is if you want to take a break and come back to your resort in the middle of the day, go to the pool, take a nap, do whatever you need to do. I'm not currently staying, but I came over to the Wilderness Lodge because it is definitely one of my favorites. And I might just take a little nap right here on this couch. So I mentioned earlier, and now might be a good time to talk about it, is probably the hardest part to wrap your head around when it comes to traveling solo, and that is, what do you do at mealtime? There's nothing wrong with making a dining reservation for one and going to a sit-down restaurant. What I find is that sit-down restaurants are a little bit about the food and they're a little bit about the company. So when I was coming as a solo traveler, I do remember having this sort of mental conversation with myself about what I was going to do. And there were a couple of restaurants that I definitely wanted to dine at. If you don't get to come very often, you, I'm sure, have a list of things that you want to do. So go ahead and do those things. And just know that it's going to be you. It's not awkward. It's just, you know, you're going to sit there and you can look at your phone or do whatever and enjoy your meal. What I find 90% of the time, it's just easier to go to quick service, order your food, sit down. There's no reason to have a big, long, drawn-out experience because it's just you. So it actually helps you in the sense that you can spend a little bit more time experiencing the parks because you're spending less time sitting in a restaurant. So quick service is always a good option. Snacking throughout the day, especially if you come in like to Epcot during one of the food festivals, snacking around the world is a great way to do it. You know, grabbing a quick service breakfast at your resort before you leave, skipping lunch, having dinner around the world or dinner just in the park somewhere. All those are good options. So if you watched my last video, you know that I am attempting to be a little healthier with the food choices that I choose to eat. a little heart healthier. So today I stopped over at Roaring Forks at Wilderness Lodge because I kind of wanted to come over here and just hang for a second. And I opted to get the veggie burger. So this is just a veggie burger patty with some slaw and some lettuce. Very cautiously optimistic about this veggie burger. It looks pretty good. For someone who previously would never have considered ever eating a veggie burger, they always surprise me at how good they actually are.
1 hour later.
The last thing you can do is you can come to Disney Springs and do whatever it is you want to do. How about some shopping? Or if you want something to eat, or maybe take the time to do something that you know nobody else really would want to do with you, but you want to do. So you just do it. This is definitely not for the faint of heart or those who do not like heights, because it is a little bit rickety and wobbly and it feels way up, and I really don't like looking down because it's pretty frightening. So we keep coming back around to the question of whether or not you are going to have a good time if you come by yourself. If you're on the fence, are you the kind of person that's independent? If you are, then yes. If you can't, then no. I think that we all have to make these judgments for ourselves. I will tell you though, I think that any trepidation that you have about your ability to do these things, I think that you probably are not giving yourself enough credit. And I think that what you'll find is that the love for the place will overwhelm any social anxiety that you have. So I started the day over at Epcot. I ended up going over to Magic Kingdom, went over to Wilderness Lodge. Now I'm over at Disney Springs. Now I'm going to end the day back at Epcot. And this, for me, has been a pretty perfect Disney day. I've only ridden one attraction today. I stopped, I had some lunch. I thought about stopping at one of my favorite bars. I've opted out, but that would be something that would not be out of the realm of possibility for me also. So I think that, you know, the world is your oyster when it comes to this type of trip. And I think that you can make it whatever you want to. We've reached the end of our day, and I don't know whether or not we've answered the question. I know I answered the question for myself years ago, and I know that I feel strongly about my connection to this place. So strongly that Jennifer and I uprooted our lives to move here for some crazy dream about living next to a theme park in the middle of Orlando. I've wondered many times whether or not we made the right decision, whether moving here was irresponsible, and whether or not we could have the life that we wanted to have here. And I don't know if I've still yet answered that question, but I know this, that I will not look back on my life with regret for having not done the things that I wanted to do. And I have Jennifer to thank for that, because I don't know if I ever would have had the courage to do it without her. So the question for today is, can you come to Disney on your own? If you can't find anybody to go with you, can you come and have a great trip? The answer to that question is 100% yes. I know it's overused, but if this is your happy place, then don't let anything get in your way. If you can't find somebody to come with you, don't be afraid. Don't let your self-doubt get in the way of your own happiness. You can come and have a fantastic vacation here at Disney and in Central Florida all by yourself. I've laid out a couple of things that I think that are important, how to get through mealtime, the benefits of having no one to answer to be able to do exactly what you want. I've been at it all day today, and I had the time of my life all by myself. I wish I had 5 or 6 more days just to do it all over again, but you maybe do, and I hope that you find whatever it is that you need to feel good about coming here and having this vacation all by yourself. I'd love to have more conversation about this subject. If you have any questions or have any comments, please leave those down below and let's talk about it some more. Thank you for all the support for myself and for Jennifer and for this channel. I very much do appreciate it, and it means the world to me. Guys, as always, if never lost, then never found. So go get lost.